We disembarked from our cruise ship, the Wind, when it docked at Lahaina on Maui, Hawaii. From there, we took a ferry boat across to the small island of Lanai. Since it's only 13 miles wide and 18 miles long, Lanai is one of the smallest islands in the Hawaiian chain. There's very little in the way of trees that grow on the island, except for a number of large pine trees that were imported from the Cook Islands and planted around the city of Lanai City. We're taking a guided tour of the island in an SUV, a Chevy Suburban with four-wheel drive. Our driver picked us up at the dock. Our first stop was at one of the large hotels on the island. This is a very posh golf resort, and we took a whole tour of the lobby area here, and you can see the pool. Back in 1922, James Dole arrived, and he bought the entire island for $1.1 million. He built plantations, imported workers, and started growing pineapples. It was nicknamed Pineapple Island. The next stop was in the city. They have very little crime on the island. That's the police department there, and that is the jail, if you can believe that. At one point, the island supplied 75% of the world's supply of pineapples. In addition to the driver, there was another couple that rode along with us in the SUV, and then there was a second vehicle with two more couples in it. We went over some very rough roads out to the shoreline that faces Maui. It's quite windy out there, and as you can see, there's very little in the way of real vegetation. Off in the distance, you can see an abandoned ship that's grounded on some of the reefs out there. This is actually one of the old World War II Liberty ships that was built out of concrete. I was running the video camera, and of course I had to get a picture of my wife Lori. Meanwhile, she's getting a picture of me. There was a beach there, but it really wasn't suitable for swimming with all the rocks that were there. Everybody had a good time wandering around on the shore and just looking at things in general. There was an old abandoned building there. I have no idea what it was used for, but obviously it's fallen into disuse. Well, then we had to get back into the four-wheel drive Suburbans and go back over that road to see more of the island. As you can see from this video, the road was pretty rough, and the driver had his work cut out for him. But they were familiar with the road because they regularly brought visitors out to this part of the island. Good thing we had a four-wheel drive vehicle. Some places the road had been kind of washed away, and we had to go pretty slow. Here, I got to look out the side window of the Suburban, and we could see the other one that we're following. There's only about 30 miles of paved road on the island. We're heading up the hill, going towards the peak of the island. You notice all the rocks here and some other black things. That is actually some of the plastic that was used to keep the weeds down when the island was used mostly for growing pineapples. Well, here we are up at the highest point on the island. You can't really call it a mountain, but it is very desolate. This part of the island gets very little rainfall. You'll notice I'm having to do narration here after the fact because there was so much wind in the microphone of the camera, the sound was not usable. You may have noticed that there's a number of rocks that are stacked up here, one on top of the other. And that's certainly not a natural formation. Our tour guide disavows any knowledge of who does that. But somehow, even if they got knocked down by the tourists the next day, they're back piled up again. After many years of pineapple production, the Dole Corporation finally decided to shut down their operations on Lanai because of the high cost of labor, and they moved their production to other islands. This was a major economic blow to Lanai. When we got down off of the hill, they took us to a very nice park that's right on the beach. And this is a nice beach, good for swimming on this one. Quite a contrast from the view up on top of the mountain. The tour guides had boxed lunches for everybody, and there were picnic tables here in the park, shade trees, so we had a very enjoyable lunch after our tour. Our guide told us that there were spinner dolphins that played just off the beach there in a little bay, but unfortunately we didn't get to see any while we were there. It was still a very nice park and a very enjoyable day. On one of the picnic tables I saw a very strange looking bird that wasn't familiar to me. It sort of looks like a blue jay. It's a much different color. We'll take one more look around the park and the beach area before our tour guides took us back over to the dock where we could board the ferry boat to go back to Maui. Hope you enjoyed our little tour.